the game while you listen.
What's going on here?
But this ragtag crew of adventurers is covering the problems of the average player.
Where should I begin?
Discussing the home brews, modules, and the latest content for all things D&D.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
It's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything.
What you're feeling is so normal and perfectly natural.
With your host, the Pirate Captain.
Everybody loves me, and I don't know why. I'm an asshole. I really am. The Pirate Captain is a dick.
Chef Bolgg.
Let me take a couple steps back so I can, really get this point across.
It's bullshit!
And Loke the Bard.
Instead of making a deal with Cthulhu or, the greater devil, you found an imp who was willing to give you dark vision in exchange for a gallon of blood.
With a little mayhem, mischief, and a bit of bardic charisma, it's time for the show.
That's right. We're back at it again, boys, for another fun-filled adventure straight off the galley from last night. It is I, the Pirate Captain, along with me with my bestest buddy, Bolgg.
It's me. Hi.
Loke the Bard.
Hello.
And Mr. Producer.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We are Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. We're a D&D podcast, and we do some other things now, but we'll get into that here in a bit. Let's go ahead and get through some of these obligatory podcast things that everybody's got to do. Even though we're more of a vlog right now, I got to be honest with that. So don't forget to go find us wherever you find all your content. It's very simple to search for us, Chef Bolgg and Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. If you just type in Chef Bolgg and Pirate Captain, you're going to find us. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on, not Rumble. I'm working on getting us on Rumble. We are on Spotify, iTunes, all the different podcast platforms. It is that simple to find us. If you are following us and subscribe to us on YouTube, every other Friday we'll be doing we call it the Pop Culture Galley, and we'll do that every other Friday. We had an episode last night to make up for last week's episode where I had to be gone. We got another episode coming up this Friday. And it's more kind of like what we talk about behind the scenes when we're not talking about D&D. It is YouTube only content. So if you're listening to this in podcast world, make sure you go like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And so you can see that content. The big thing for today, there's so much to get into today. Big thing that we really want to get into is, obviously the new 6th edition. I'm still going to call it that. Like the idea that they're calling it the 5e still is dumb, and I'll still stand behind that. But the thing that comes out right now is they released this new survey test results video, and in it, I haven't watched the whole video. I've only watched the highlight clips. Thank God somebody went through and did all that for me, because from what you guys have told me who've watched it. So Loke, you said you watched it. Mr. Producer, you said you watched it.
Yeah.
That it's a whole lot of like nothing. Like they
pretty much.
Yeah, and they mumble very slowly and talk about a lot of fluff that.
Well, we're gonna get into some of that fluff.
And then they leave like the 5 minutes at the end for what the advertised video was for.
I still want to send them the certificate of achievement, the Pirate Captain certificate of achievement. But we're getting less to one ply and more like used piece of one ply.
That might flag some.
I mean, it's biohazard. It's all right. I'm just, these guys are not listening. They're not listening, and I can't keep saying.
Well, I think they are listening, and they're ignoring us outright.
Yeah,
this video is almost like them saying, Yeah, you said this, but no. You said this, but no. We're right, you're wrong. We're the best because we control the ball.
And that's the crappy part about this, because because they control the ball, and we hope for them to do good content, but they're like, we know what you want. But that's not what we want at all. But it is. But it's not. And we're gonna see this when we because we're gonna somewhat live react to this video. I've already watched it, and you guys have watched this portion, I'm sure. There, Bolgg, this may be new to you, but I gotta tell you, the big thing that's had us really worried here in the past is the backwards compatibility, right? We can all agree that, hey, it being having all these different setups for the one edition versus the setups from the other edition aren't going to gel well. It's going to make it a nightmare at the table. And they somewhat answer that question in here. And I got to shout out. One second, I got to pull up the article. The article was crashing my page. But Bell of Lost Souls.net, they had the article that, they're talking about the backwards compatibility. Now the devs say, oh yeah, it's going to be backwards compatibility, and that we should trust them. You know what? Let me trust the guy that's been stabbing me in the back for the entire, since all these playtests have kind of gone through. They have been stabbing us in the back and saying, oh, it's okay, we're not stabbing you in the back, you were bleeding when we got here. And you're like, you still have the bloody knife in your hand. And it's getting worse. It really is. And I want to share this with you, and so that way we can watch it. Here we go. Oh man. All righty.
Hello, everyone. Today we have a bit.
I do want to take 5 seconds and congratulate them on changing rooms, though. They may have actually listened to us from our last episode when we were like, bro, what are y'all doing? Like hanging out in this open lobby that everybody's like moving around and like while we're recording a live episode. So thankfully they got into a studio room this time.
Bit of a fireside chat with Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, and we are talking about the 2024 core rule books.
You can think of these books
as
the culmination of the last decade. These rule books represent that decade of conversation among all of us D&D fans, and is our chance to make the foundational books of the game, the 3 core rule books, reflect the best state of the game.
He is super excited. He is absolutely, he's like, this is going to be great. You're going to love this. And everybody else is like, why is he smiling so much? Like, it's like he's getting ready to take our puppy from us.
In 2024. We want the gate.
Oh, I got something for this guy. Look at this guy. Look at him right here. Just look at those eyes.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eye.
This is not a creator that is happy to be making anything right now. Oh, Chris Perkins, you said he's the lead designer for the DMs Guild, right?
For the DM guy.
Or guy.
You went with Jaws on that? You didn't go with Halloween?
No, I went with Jaws on that one because that's the first one I thought of.
Blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
No, man. Because he's not even a bad. It doesn't seem like a bad guy. Because we'll come later into this interview, but I got to tell you, the fact that you look into his eyes right now, and he just looks like somebody who is like seen some absolute like creator content shit. Like he's just like, I don't really want to talk about what Jeremy Crawford's going to do to me after this video if I don't say the right thing.
Gateway products for the 5th edition line.
I mean, like right there. What the hell is he looking at? He just looks scared. So scared.
Among the best looking, easiest to read, most mechanically robust.
He can't even talk about his product. Like that's the part about this. Like that's got me worried that he can't even talk about his own product.
That we can, so that it's a great first experience for somebody coming into the game.
Looks over.
Bastions are the only thing we've seen from the new DMG.
Yeah, but did you also look at him over there? You know, to Jeremy, and he goes, "I say the right thing." I said, "Will you let my kids go now? Come on." I know they're chained to your desk. Let them go, man. I said what you wanted me to say.
And a part of that, creating that experience, we have also endeavored to make it so that these books will work with the products that fed into them. So you will be able to play a 5th edition adventure you already own, like Curse of Strahd, right, or the Planescape that just came out, or the things coming out between now and the core books, all of those.
What did he forget to mention?
The deck of many things.
No. Well, that too, but
that's
that was kind of in the things that are coming out in between. What did he forget to mention? Something that every player needs. Player's Handbook.
Oh, that's what he is talking about being compatible, not
No, he's saying that it's going to be. He's saying that
the new Player's Handbook is going to be compatible with everything.
With all these these new adventures and stuff like that, but not the old PHB.
Oh, he'll get to that. Give him a minute.
I mean, I know he's going to get to it a little bit, but right there, watch how much he dances around the argument when it comes to that.
Those you will be able to use with the 2024 rule books. The key for us is that the new books will not only introduce all sorts of new options, whether it's weapon mastery or bastions or new subclass options or new class features and new equipment, new magic items, on and on and on, new monsters. All of that new is going to coexist seamlessly with the material that is already in the game. And
it's going to seamlessly. Yeah. How many times have we already poked holes into this and said this isn't going to work with this and this isn't going to work with that?
Oh yeah, yeah. And he'll come out and flat out say disagree with some of the stuff we've said. So that's coming.
In any case where maybe we have adjusted how something functions, the core rule books will walk right beside you and make it clear how that new functionality interacts with 5th edition books you already have. So
that's a big claim.
You're not going to need like a conversion guide or anything like that.
You won't need a conversion guide. Don't worry, it's going to be there for you. We're going to print it in this new book. So guess what you got to do now? Buy the new book. There's going to have to be somebody. If one person somebody's going to have to buy that book. And a DM's probably gonna have to buy that book. You're gonna want to have like at least 2 copies at your table, so the players can have one to see how Bolgg's paladin interacts with my cleric, that interacts with your bard, that interacts with Mr. Producer's wizard. Like that's the truth of this.
It's worse than that. It's gonna have to see how Bolgg's 2024 barbarian zealot interacts with the new guy at the table's 2014 barbarian zealot, because they won't have the same rules, but they're saying they can be both there at the same table.
Like I don't know who they're like fooling on this one, but it's bad. Like it really is. Like, come on, man, just come out and say that. Look, this is going to be a massive shit show. Like I don't want people out here. Like if you're listening to this for the first time, you're maybe catching this on a clip or whatever. Don't sit here and think I want to bash wizards. It's easy to do that. That is absolutely the easiest thing. I can go back in and pick out anything and go, this is stupid, that's stupid, this is stupid, that's stupid, all the way down. That's easy. I want wizards to do well because it's content and stuff. It's a game that we really enjoy. Why would we want this to fail? But they're making it so hard. Like Jeremy Crawford is like so happy of his C- content that he doesn't care. And then you have him in here with Chris Perkins, and Chris Perkins isn't even like saying anything useful. He's just there to agree. Like, hold on, let's see if I'm going to share the scene again real quick with you. You look at him. Jeremy looks like he's happy about this. This is going through. Does this look like a guy that is excited about anything he's put out right now? Like, not at all. He looks like he's just like, I'm here because that guy's my boss, and he told me I needed to be here. Like, I have to be here because if I don't go, my kids are going to be chained to his desk. I want to know what Jeremy Crawford has on Chris Perkins, because it's bad. Like, that scene right there should show you what the content is. Now, like, this is the clip of it. I haven't watched the full video. I'm glad that I have the clip, because if you're telling me they spent a half hour that people have to like watch it at 1.5 speed to like get through it all, that's miserable. That's not good content. That means you're not putting out what you're supposed to be. And this isn't even including likes and dislike ratios from, YouTube and things like that. This is just them coming out and saying, hey, we're just happy to be here. All right. Yeah, I mean, one rant over. Let's
you're going to be able to just get these books and keep playing. at least half of the classes are being revolutionized in terms of how they play, thanks to the introduction of weapon mastery. We have the Bastion system that gives a new kind of mini game that can occur between sessions.
How many of y'all like playing a mini game in the middle of your D&D session?
This is worse than in the session. This is homework.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, because you got to keep track of it. Because if you don't keep track of it, by rules of the Bastion, it automatically goes away. But how many of y'all want to play a mini game inside a game you're already playing? Come on, bro.
And there's a whole lot more that people are going to see. That, you know, the stuff that they love will be there, but tuned up, paired with brand new options, and then you're going to be able to
tell us that we're gonna like it though. He was like, "Oh, you love the old stuff, and then there's new stuff." I'm happy. You should be happy too. Bro, I hate
so many of us love to, as D&D players and DMs, tinker with it all and mix it up in ways that are satisfying for your individual campaign.
Well, what excites you the most?
Oh,
I love this one.
It's hard because
look how he didn't even have anything to say.
Well, he took a second, and before he could even speak, Jeremy jumps in.
No, yeah, because no, hold on. Watch this. All right, so we'll go.
Well, what excites you the most?
308.
Oh gosh, it's hard because
he had plenty of time to start saying anything. Like you're creating the DM's guide. You should have like a favorite part of like something, or like it just in general of like, oh, I've got some really great new monsters you're gonna love. Oh, I've got some really cool layer effects that have never been before seen. They're gonna be awesome. And yes, you're right. Jeremy Crawford did kind of cut him off a little too soon, but come on, bro.
3 new books.
Yeah.
Which are the biggest versions of the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual the game has ever had. The 3 combined will be close to 1,000 pages. If I had to choose, I'm most excited.
I got 1,000 pages of something. You know what I got 1,000 pages of? Shit tickets sitting in my bathroom right now. It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like am I being too critical? You guys, tell me, guys. Like, be honest with me. You're my bestest friends in the world. Am I being too critical on this?
It's hard not to be critical on this because, one, they're not saying anything.
Right.
1,000 pages, all of pictures and no rules ain't going to help nobody.
Yeah. Think about the Player's Handbook that has like a few pages that are mostly just like you're saying, pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. So the page count tells us nothing without knowing what's on those pages. And everything we've seen so far, they're coming back and saying in later parts of this video, they're still going to be tweaking that stuff right up till when it goes to the publisher, which means we've seen nothing that's actually going to be in the book. But they're still changing everything right up to the day of release. So
when is this supposed to be published?
Next year.
Sometime. Did they give a time frame for it?
No, not yet that I know.
Not officially yet.
So you want to know one of my biggest complaints about modern video games is that they rush everything through and they give you a half-finished product. You know why Baldur's Gate 3 was so successful is that it was years in development. And we're not seeing that with
years in fucking development.
Yeah, years in development. And then it came out and it's an amazing game. We're going to get to how amazing it is and some thoughts and stuff on that coming up after this. But you think about that. Like they took their time and made sure that it was great. They didn't just rush through it. What, 2012 was when 5e came out? Correct me if I'm wrong.
2014.
2014. So the game's been out. The version of the game has been out for 8 years, a little over 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, it should be at the 10-year point.
Okay.
2024.
It's not like we're in that big of a rush to put out new content. Like maybe actually dial back on some of the dumb content.
And they are putting out new content in the meantime, so it's even less of a rush to put a revision.
So why even like you gotta and pick your battle right now. Pick your battle. Are you gonna keep putting out 5e content? Like, we've already talked about the deck of many things and what we think about that. And what talk about maybe just like pick a side. Do we want to keep creating new content for 5e, or do we want to work on what essentially is a whole new edition of D&D? Whole new edition. Or am I like that am I asking too much yet again? Like you guys like have to tell me out here if I'm like being either too critical. You're usually the ones that'll like that shut me down on everything and be like, nah, well, and
Well, also, if they put this revised edition that they're not calling a revised edition, which is an updated, whatever they're calling this, what this is also going to shut down is they're not going to be able to put out 6th edition for a few years now.
Oh, you're probably talking about like another 10 years at that point.
So
I feel like the dam's breaking and they're like trying to put
if you're gonna do this, it's got to be good enough that you're delaying whatever that next edition idea you had is. Take the time, make it good enough. I think what the issue is though is we're coming up on the 50th anniversary, and they're targeting to get this out in that same window, and they're putting this artificial time pressure on themselves to meet that, thinking that's going to be a great marketing
I'm saying that
opportunity.
I'm saying if they want to do that, they shouldn't even release any new content. It's the 50th anniversary. They should actually re-release the original content in its glory. And like that is like a little like you don't have to do all the modules and stuff like that out there, but do like an OG D&D first edition release set and stuff like that. Like a small box that you can get like $100. People would buy it. I guarantee it.
Well, they've got a bunch of secret 50th anniversary stuff that they're not. I don't know how that's good marketing to keep it all a secret surprise till the anniversary, but apparently they've got it that somehow ties in with this new core book systems.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this up so we can move on before I want to send a
about how some of the brand new options, when paired with things that are already in the game, will not only feel new on their own because they're brand new, but are also going to make old things feel new.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you pair some of these new options with an old thing, the whole context changes. And there's something like that in just about every part of the game. Whether it's, the changing encounter building rules or the way we're organizing treasure. That is different, and how that will be noted in the new monster manual, and so on and so forth.
Which is, other than 5e, the way it's been done in every other edition. This new idea to list a treasure type with the monster, so that you know what kind of treasure your monster's carrying. That new idea has been in every other monster manuals except for the 5th edition one.
Well, he's banking on the fact that that there are players not like you that have played like every edition known to man, and that they don't understand, or they never played 4 or 3, 5 or 3 or 2 or 1, and that they wouldn't know that. So he's like, of course this is new. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
All sorts of these.
This freaking little Patsy over here. Yeah, it's good. It's good. You're gonna love that. I worked on that. I worked on that a lot. You'll love it. Trust me.
Little beautiful grace notes in every part of the game that bring new options, change your perspective on how that piece of the game works, gives you a new option, gives you new inspiration for making your own content, and so on.
And also just pay off on, now that we've got 10 years of playing the game and analyzing and hearing from folks, we know what some of the pain points are in the books, and we can address them. Things like, there aren't very many common magic items in the magic items chapter of the DMG.
Is that like a real problem of the average player? Any of us, any 4 of us?
It was, especially before Xanthar's came out, that was a big complaint that a lot of people made.
I just wanted to make sure, because I forgot about Xanthar's coming out and adding a bunch more, even though they were kind of lame. But
and the fact that they've, they used to put out the I'm forgetting the name of the book, but there was a book that they used to put out that was nothing but magic items and spells. It was like,
Oh, great! My dogs are going off.
I'm blanking on what it was called. It, like something Arcanum or something like, I don't remember
Yeah.
off the top of my head. But in old editions, they used to put out a separate book that had supplemental magic items and spells and those kind of things that, if you needed those things, you could buy that separate book.
Right.
They don't seem to want to do any targeted books in this edition. In this edition, they want, I guess, because they're trying to get the broadest purchasing base they can, they'll put, these books that are really made for a DM, they'll put 2 player options in that book, hoping players will also buy it. That's not the way these things are supposed to work.
No.
Yeah, it's just scummy.
In the old editions, like they would put out a separate book, like the complete fighter's handbook, which would, if you like playing fighters, it would give you a ton of new fighter options. And that was a book that the players would go out and buy that played that type of class.
Was that in addition to like a player's handbook that has like all the classes? And
yeah, the player's handbook would have the base classes and some base, just the regular fighter. But if you really like playing fighters, you'd go out, you could buy the supplemental fighter's handbook, which would have additional classes like the swashbuckler or a range, I can't remember what the ranged archer specialist fighter was called, and it would have these tweaked fighters that were a little bit different for the fighter to be able to have all these extra options. And they had one, they had these for mages. They had one of these for some of the races too, like elves. They had like the complete book of elves, which had the blade singer and the species specific classes.
Yeah. Ooh,
but it
yeah,
also had like
out
the
there.
the difference between a high elf and a wild elf and a wood elf and a moon elf and all those kind of things were in that supplemental guide for when you were building, because those guides were built for players specifically. Whereas now the only book that's specific is the player's handbook and the DMG. When you get Xanthars, a third of that book is player stuff, a third of the book is DM stuff, and then there's like a third of the stuff that's just like lore stuff that nobody really needs. Because if you put puzzles in a book that is open to players, the DM then cannot use those puzzles because the players are going to have the answers in the book that they bought to get their classes.
True.
I mean, it's just a proof, like, maybe go back to this. Like, and I get it. You want to cast a broad net because you want this book to sell, but your books aren't selling as it is. Like, that's the truth of the matter. Like, people aren't really buying a whole lot of these new books. Like, I've gone to the local shops and stuff like that to see what they're selling, and it's not. You're still seeing a bunch of D&D stuff on the shelf. I've seen more empty Pathfinder shelves in recent months, and different other games. I just don't know their names because I just don't know them too well. But I'm seeing less and less of that, and more D&D just left on the shelves.
Well, and they were complaining about, the DMs are the ones footing the bill. The DMs are the ones buying everything currently, and that's part of that whole D&D being under monetized argument that their CEO made back in the beginning of the year. Well, that's why, is because most of these books, you're not gonna, if you're a player, you're not gonna buy the deck of many things for 2 new background options.
Yeah, you're just gonna go pull it off the internet.
Yeah, and your DM's the one's gonna have to buy it to get in all that extra stuff. Why aren't they putting out players guides for, that gives players new class builds, new backgrounds, new feats?
They really do have to get back and figure out how to make it actually beneficial to buy a book. Because I get it. Look, I understand the books are expensive regardless of what it is, and probably putting out a player's book specifically is tough on the wallet. But if you give them an incentive to buy the book, like maybe there's something that comes along with the book, I don't know, throw them a dice set for all I care. There's got to be an incentive to it. Having that book should make it real. You should be excited to have that book, and there's just not. And
well, yeah, and if you do the players one though, like instead of one person in a table of 5 to 8 people buying all the books, you know, if you like playing fighters, you buy that supplemental fighter guide. If you're the guy playing the Wizards, you're not buying that. And you only need one of these books for the table. You know what I mean? So you don't need the DM to be the one buying that in that case. The player would buy it who is into and likes. And he, by buying it, he gets the advantage of he can now build these additional classes, these additional backgrounds or feats that weren't available.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Guide.
Was it 1,000 pages for just the
No,
Player's
all three
Handbook,
books.
or is it all three
all
books?
three books put together will be 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
Let's finish this up so we can move on, because I'm just.
So we'll put a few more in. You know, that kind
They're
of
annoying
thing.
with me.
And then sprinkle in a few little surprises.
He still hasn't told me his
like,
favorite part.
Oh, here's a new item that not only fills kind of like a hole or a niche, but actually kind of taps into something.
All right. So yeah, obviously he had nothing to say. He never told me his favorite item, and it's just getting. I'm getting worried. I'm really worried about where it's going to go, and they're not building any confidence. There's no confidence in the product right now to say, oh, okay, yeah, no, I would definitely buy this crap, like at all. So you know what? But I tell you, you know something I do have confidence in. Baldur's Gate 3. It's been a hot minute since we talked about Baldur's Gate 3, but I got to tell you, I have confidence in this game. I'm still playing it actively on PlayStation when I go to work, because I have to be at work at late night, and it's easier to lug my PlayStation around than it is my whole tower. Still love it. Still think it's a great game. But what I gotta tell you though is I'm pretty proud of the awards that it's winning, and right now it's my handpick for Game of the Year. I know we've got some Legend of Zelda fans in here are going to go, no, it's the new one.
Also, what might hold it back from a Game of the Year this year is the Xbox one still won't be out till December 6th.
It's not going to matter. That's not going to matter because Legend of Zelda is one on, and it's only on Switch. So
yeah,
just going to say, but over the weekend they held the Golden Joysticks, which is kind of like a smaller game show, stuff like that. Just kind of like just basic and stuff like that. The game won like 6 Golden Joysticks. Like that's pretty impressive. I don't even know what a Golden Joystick is. I'll be honest. I'm just trying to put it over because I really enjoy the game, and I'm glad that it's actually out there winning stuff. It actually beat out it may not beat out the other games. I think it's going to be a top contender. Like if I had to pick 2 games this year to contend with, it is the new Zelda game, which I didn't even play. I didn't care for the last Zelda game either. Like it wasn't for me. And I think it was going to be the Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, it was going to be that, but not anymore. When Baldur's Gate 3 released, that was it. That was Game of the Year. That had pretty much eradicated Hogwarts Legacy, and Hogwarts Legacy was a really good game, decent story. Everything was like kind of fun to play through, but it was definitely it's definitely not gonna win against like I know a lot of people are liking Legend of Zelda and stuff like that. But this one, 2023, has been an incredible year. This actually comes from PC Games, PCGamesN.com. 2023 has been an incredible year for RPG games, but even our own Baldur's Gate 3 review says that it's the one that stands tall above the rest. Baldur's Gate 3 is a big and a complex game that Vink says it's Larian's commitment to not compromising on its vision, which I need Wizards of the Coast to take that thought right there and go, all right, we're not going to compromise on our goal, on our vision of making great content.
Yeah, and there's not a bunch of in-app purchases or DLC stuff that you have to buy additional. It's an old school game in the old school manner, and it's been successful as a result.
Well, I mean, it works that way because people actually enjoy that kind of stuff. They're tired of paying for DLCs and
no
add-ons.
loot boxes.
They were never. I don't know where that became a thing that people were excited about that. I know loot boxes kind of got.
I don't think anybody's really been excited about it other than the business people that are making money off of it.
Yeah.
I think I think they got excited about, hey, this game they already paid for, they can pay us more money for.
Oh yeah. And granted,
Was CS:GO the first game to do loot boxes?
I'm not
Oh
sure.
no, loot boxes.
They've been out for like I would say
yeah.
Let's see.
I would
Maple Story is the first.
Maple Story was
Yeah,
that's
it's a
crazy.
Japanese
yeah, I know
gotcha.
Maple.
MMO, yeah.
Yeah, I know Maple Story, but man, I can't believe that one's the one that first did loot boxes.
I can't.
They're responsible for ruining all of video games.
Damn it,
It's
Maple
all their
Story.
fault.
I mean, because I bought a bunch of loot boxes because there were skins that I liked for Overwatch when I was like super big into Overwatch, and when it finally died off, I have some like they were harder to get skins, and now they're throwaways that everybody can get. Thank you, Overwatch 2.
Dota 2 was the first to do battle passes. I didn't know that.
That one seems about right. Like I expect that out of Dota.
I think Fortnite is what really popularized the battle passes.
I don't think so. I think FIFA and them did that because a lot of people play the FIFA games, and that's what it was. But it was nice seeing Baldur's Gate 3 actually
Fortnite capitalized off of they stood on the shoulders of giants. They took the ideas that these other games of the past had used, and they used them to make themselves lots and lots of money.
Yeah, I'm still more happy the fact I still think PUBG was a better game, but Fortnite just gets kind of like crazy with like the building and stuff like that. I watched a couple of the esports guys at the college over here because I'm working on doing a commentary thing for them, like being a esports commentator for them. And I was watching their Fortnite match, and I was like, "This is insane." I watched that dude like evade death 6 times because he's building a wall faster than you can shoot it down. I was like, "This is stupid." Yeah, just like PUBG, you could go around there and beat people with a frying pan. I have a kill on a video cam somewhere of me running around and killing a dude with a frying pan. I was happy with that. But Baldur's Gate 3, I think, is probably like Baldur's Gate 3 does deserve Game of the Year. Like, in all fairness, it hits every spectrum of everything that everybody wanted in a game. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Maybe update your video card because it's going to burn it out. But it was a really good game. The story's there. It's got great replayability. Like the fact that you can go in and replay the story in 1,000 different ways and still probably not experience all of it. I think they said it would take you like 720 total hours or something, like more than 720 hours to experience every storyline the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and that's without screwing up and turning left when you need to turn right.
Absolutely. And that right there, like that says that, hey, look, this is a game that they took time to go through. So winning six golden joysticks for whatever it was worth. I saw the article. I still have no idea what is it like the Emmy of the for the Oscars or something like that? Like what are we talking about here?
I do hope Baldur's Gate 3 wins because I think it'll stick it to the game industry because I heard Warner Brothers just decided that they want to switch to more of a live service model
for all their games.
Yeah, for all their games, and
including retrofitting games that are already out.
Really?
Yeah, that's what's insane. They want to do it to all of their games that are already out.
And that's
which is what drove Bethesda into such financial trouble that they got bought by Microsoft.
That's what drove Bethesda into Bethesda's problems, not the fact that we've only re-released Skyrim for the umpteenth time.
Well, yeah, but the fact that they were re-releasing Skyrim as a service rather than creating new games, new content, they were adding what did they call their store? Their in-game store that took real currency. I'm just blanking on what it is. So they called it anyway.
Yeah,
that's what they added to Skyrim over the years instead of actually coming out with the
new stuff.
Game.
Yeah. So
now that they're part of Microsoft, all of a sudden they're starting to put their new stuff out again.
Yeah. Well, because they got Daddy Warbucks sitting behind them. Here are the 6 different awards that Baldur's Gate won from the Golden Joysticks. Ultimate Game of the Year, Best Game Community, PC Game of the Year, Best Supporting Performer. That was Neil Newborn. He played Astarion.
Of course.
I thought Astarion was good, but I thought Gale was better, but that's personal opinion. Studio of the Year, Larian definitely deserved that one. Best visual design definitely was this one, and then best storytelling, absolutely. They're like you'll hear no arguments from me from that one. But when you have money, like they didn't even have, but that's the thing, you don't even need money. You don't need money because they didn't do it with a whole lot of money. That was like self-backed and everything. They were their own producers on it, and that's where a lot of the game communities were coming out and calling out these devs, and the devs were like, "But we've got to answer to our investors." Okay, then if you put out a really really good product and everybody was happy to buy it, you could use the capital you used from that product to go back in and fund the next project. And there you go. You start building up that way and you just keep putting out good stuff. Instead, yeah, we're not doing that. That sounds easy. That sounds smart. Like I'm not saying I'm the brightest developer or money guy in the room, but bro, there's got to be a better answer for this. Just find out what people like and do that. Dude, it's that simple. Why that's a common concept in all of this. Am I wrong? Come on. I feel like I'm saying a lot of things today and I'm not getting any pushback, and that scares me.
Yeah, because you're not saying anything controversial this time.
Right.
I was pushing back all the time last night because it was all.
Whoa. The things that I was saying, though, was correct, though. For those of you who are listening to this in podcast or maybe viewing it on the vlog, go check out the Pirate Captain Galleys episode. It's our little alternate Friday show where we kind of sit back and talk more pop culture, kind of what we got into a little bit here, but a lot more. Last night we were talking about the Marvels, and I'm going to tell you, the bet that I made last night, don't spoil the bet. They got to go watch the episode, figure out what the bet is. It's looking pretty good that I'm not going to have to go see that movie. So,
which, by the way, the reason I wasn't on that was because Nickelwart said he needed help with something.
Nickelwart always needs help with something.
Do you know what he needed help with?
What's that?
I need you to come over here and wipe my butt.
I was gonna use that thing at some point, and that is a perfect Nickelwart.
He needed me to come over and blow up some ships for him on Starfield.
No fucking way.
Listen here. I cannot do this by myself. Get over here and blow my ship. I said what I said.
You said what you said.
Yeah.
I love that one. I also have another toy version of this one. We're not going to get into that version right now, but we're going to get into that some other time. I bought a new toy. That's what I'm trying to update the streams and make them more live action, but that actually is a pretty spot on Nickelwart, though. It sounds exactly like him, if you ask me. But yeah, Friday nights got to catch the galley episodes where we kind of talk more pop culture. It was like I said, we talked about the Flash, Marvel and DC, and then we talked about the Ghostbusters movie. It was a lot of good stuff last night. Alrighty, last topic. Magic the Gathering. All right, because this is Wizards, and a lot of what Magic the Gathering does influence Wizards, or sorry, D&D, and vice versa, because they'll take things from the D&D universe and put them in their Magic.
Yeah, they've done a lot of crossovers, like the Ravnica and the what the other one that they just recently did, where they'll take the settings from Magic the Gathering and they'll release DM guides for campaign settings for D&D. And then recently they did the opposite, where they released like the Forgotten Realms cards.
So you
into
got
Magic
that.
the Gathering.
Yeah, so you have that, but now you're gonna get you're gonna have the fact that we're probably gonna get a Marvel universe in D&D soon. Because I don't know if y'all saw this, but this comes right from Wizards' website, and this is kind of like old news as of October 23rd. They're collabing with Marvel. So you're putting, and not to like dump on Marvel, but you're putting like two dead things together and hoping that you're going to create life. Because the Marvel universe is kind of dead.
I wouldn't consider the Marvel universe dead. It's still making money.
It is not making money. Not when you have multiple movies that have yet to overcap what money that the money that they spent on making their movies, when you have comic book shops, legendary comic book shops, all going out because no one wants to buy Marvel or DC comics. Everybody's into the new Iron Age of comics. The Marvel universe is dead. Okay. It lasted as long as it could, but now we got to take it off life support because it's just fading away. And now we're going to do that to Magic the Gathering. That's also doing kind of bad right now because they're re-releasing old sets. They're putting in content that nobody wanted. They're messing up content that people have like very deep love for. Like when they did the whole Lord of the Rings set and they started messing with the characters and stuff like that. And Lord of the Rings fans who play Magic the Gathering were pissed. There are like, I want to tell you, I will cross a lot of fans in this world. Lord of the Rings fans, not one of them. They love their.
I could see the Marvel working with Magic, but I also it doesn't quite fit.
It doesn't.
A lot of the whole idea with the Magic the Gathering is the elemental based cards where how do you put Captain America into fire, earth, water?
Water. You put him in the water because he was frozen. I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Need like a finger gun sound effect on my board. All I've got is the dog eyes thing.
Well, the same like I was bringing up before the show started. Fallout is coming to it. How do you do Fallout with the same thing?
Right.
That one's all dark.
Yeah, it's all
swamp?
black.
Yeah, it's all black.
Swamp.
It's all black.
It's just a mono black set. All right.
Yeah, the entire set. No, I guess you could do some earth and some black, but yeah, I guess if you turn the fire and did the nuclear in the fallout radiation, so you throw things like the children of Adam and that kind of stuff on the fire. All right.
I would rather see Fallout, I guess, but not even Fallout. Like, I don't know. I think you probably have better chance of doing like different animes for Magic the Gathering or something like that versus like trying to do Marvel. Like Marvel is just a stretch, and you're putting
a good set that would make a lot of sense for Magic the Gathering would be The Witcher.
Yes,
but
yes, absolutely.
Won't happen because
it's like two different properties that like they're not going to come up off their own shit to like.
Well, also Sapkowski is very picky about who gets the rights now because of what Netflix has done.
That was a travesty.
And yeah, he was already picky to begin with. But but Marvel, yeah, I just don't see it working in a traditional sense. Now, that's not to say Magic the Gathering hasn't done their own like bullshit releases before, but they weren't considered like tournament ready, which I think Marvel is going to be supposedly allowed. Like, I don't know,
like a sideline set where like you do eat one instead of using the traditional swamps, mountains, earth, plains, forests, the traditional set for islands. That was the one I'm missing. You switch it to the Power Stones, maybe, where
you could do the Infinity Stones. That would be kind of cool. Like I like that would be. I don't know.
It would be a separate entity produced by them, but it would not like Bolgg was saying, it would not be tournament acceptable. You could not.
So then,
they wouldn't regular.
But they wouldn't even want to make that set then, because then they can't sell it because nobody would want to buy a set that's not like tournament acceptable. And that's, like I said, what they do ends up bleeding over into D&D. That's why we're talking about it, and the fact that it's like it's going to bleed over. I guarantee it.
If it's all of a sudden their most successful set they ever sold, they're going to go and try to buy the rights to put the Marvel role playing into D&D rules settings or something, but it has to be successful before they even.
The only reason that I don't expect that to work is because they already have a Marvel game themselves.
Yeah.
How
successful is that?
No.
How long ago was that put out?
Oh, it's already off. You can't buy that game anymore.
Yeah, you can. It's a Target.
The Marvels, it doesn't work anymore though. They took it off the service. Which one are you talking about? The one that
The
came out?
tabletop game.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about like the PlayStation game. That's my bad.
No. They have a tabletop Marvel game that was released 2 years ago, I think, and it's available at Target. I got the crowdsourced pre-test copy, which was only $10.
Right.
And it only has a portion of the full book. But yeah, you can buy the full book at Target, and it looks like a fun ass system to play. I just don't expect D&D to try and muscle in and take that over because it's not the same system.
It's not.
Well, no, yeah, I'm saying they would buy the rights to put them into their system. So it would be a campaign setting using the standard 5e rules.
At this point, Disney was looking for some way to get its money back for all the money that they've lost on all these Marvel properties right now. I wouldn't be surprised that they would just be like, I will take $5. Give me what you got. Because it's bad. It's bad. But the fact that you're trying to put all these different things in Magic the Gathering has me worried for Magic the Gathering, because it's an iconic game. Like 99% of all card games in the world are based off of, like, when I say like trading card games, let me be more specific, because then you got like euchre or like poker and stuff like that. So let me be more specific. Like 90% of all trading card games are based off Magic the Gathering in some way or form. Like they use that as the basis. And watching this game die slowly, it hurts. It hurts because we all played Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of us have played Magic. I play a game that's based off. I play Force of Will, which is based off of Commander from Magic, and it works a lot of the same way. And it's a really great game. But to watch Magic just slowly burn itself out, that they're having to do like this little clout thing of like, let's do Marvel and Fallout, and what does that mean for Wizards in the whole, like as a whole?
Yeah,
that's
Wizards of the Coast. The management problems seem to be at a higher level than the D&D or Magic. I think it's something at the next level up.
The Hasbro level?
No. It's still the Wizard of the Coast. Like whoever's running that division, I believe, is where you're going to find the problem.
I could see it also coming from Hasbro, because they have for the longest time been all about the profits.
Well,
and
all companies they're going to be all about the profits. Is not the problem. That it's good if a company's profitable, because that means you're going to get more stuff from them.
Right.
But
it's just the way that they're doing to get their profits that's what's beating them in the ass.
I don't think the people guiding the ship right now are in the world that Wizards plays it, I think is what it comes out. The people running Wizards of the Coast right now are more the CEO, what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. The one that made the statement about monetizing, that D&D being under monetized. She came from Microsoft. She did not come from the gaming world at all. She didn't even come from the toy industry.
Yeah.
Cynthia Williams.
Thank you. Cynthia Williams came from Microsoft, not from the toy industry, not from the gaming industry, not from role-playing games or card games. And so some of the stuff that works for companies like Microsoft, you don't apply to companies like Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of these issues are coming from, is, corporate synergies is a good thing, to cross over your products and sell one product with your other for free advertising. Sometimes, some of these ideas don't work in the game. You're crossing collectibles, you're collecting your Magic cards and you're collecting your Marvel comics. So the idea to cross those together might sound like a good idea, but functionally game wise, that doesn't, those characters don't fit the.
And let me tie this into it too. We don't have anybody that's actually, like, we're not paving way for the new generation of game developers either, because think about anime. If you watch dub versions of anime, you realize that you hear pretty much the same like 10 voices throughout everything. And one of them being like my absolute favorite, Christopher Sabat. You hear the same thing. We're not getting into where we're actually working on a generation of new voice actors and we're new developers. So we're going to get into this point that there's no new developers. And so we're getting people like her that are coming in, they have no idea what it means to be a D&D game developer because we've pushed people out of the industry. That's the truth of it. You've disenfranchised because, well, you didn't make enough money, so get out of here. And they bring in the next person who's a yes man, like, yeah. Like freaking, what's his nuts? Or there to Jeremy Crawford. Yeah, that's great. We did that. I'm like, bro, come on. Stand up and say, you know what? Like, if he'd have come out and said, hey, look, I don't have a favorite part of the DM's guide yet. No, right now, we're still working on it. It's in development. When it comes out, I'm going to tell you it's going to be the peak pinnacle. I'd have been happy with that answer. I'd be like, okay, so he's still working on it. He doesn't have a favorite part yet. But we're not going to get that with these people that are yes men, that are just saying yes to everything that everybody ever wanted to hear or say or do. Like it's just not going to work out that way, and you're going to have these issues down the line. We're going to get somewhere, probably. I give it about another 4 or 5 years. Jeremy Crawford can't do this forever, and if he's not setting up the next guy, and I pray to God that he's not the one that's setting up the next guy, we really need some of these indie developers that are making these side games that you find on like all the different like Gifts and Go, Indiegogo, freaking Kickstarter. Like these are the guys that are working hard on these games to make them good, and they're not getting the traction because it's not D&D. So it's not D&D label, but it's actually pretty good content, because it actually follows the core thing of, hey, look, let's keep it basic. Granted, like I know for D&D's 1 and 2 and 3 weren't really super basic, but they keep it basic. They give it a story, and they just follow the some core values. That's all it is. But they're not doing that. They're trying to make money out of something, and they don't realize why they're not making money. It's because, like you said, they come from a whole new world of like dumb shit. I sold video games
prior to their open game license fiasco at the beginning of the year. D&D had something like an 85% market share for the tabletop market. If you can't make money with an 85% market share, you're doing something wrong.
Maybe step back, ask ourselves, am I really the problem here?
Yeah.
No, of course not. It's the player.
So their solution was to shed market share. That makes
I mean, but it works. It works. And whether you believe in yes or no about about the stories that they're trying to tell or stuff like that isn't even an issue. You just have to look at it. Like the content's just not there. You can do great things with, you know what? You really can't do great things with crappy content. You just gotta have crappy freaking content. Yeah. I just don't. I don't really see the whole idea of D&D, this new edition, working out right now because the content's just not going to be there. And somebody at the top level is going to have to change and make a decision of, why are we putting more? Somebody needs to ask these questions. First off, why are we not just creating a whole new edition? Let's start with that. Let's just tell me right now. Sit down and explain to me. Don't do that rope around trick that you do with that with your little yes man behind the scenes. Is like, so what do you really like about it? No. Why is this going to be the better version? Why should I want to buy this new book if I can just use the old one? All right. And somebody needs to sit down with Magic the Gathering and do the same thing. Why are we trying to put Marvel into this? All right. The Marvel franchise is dying right now. It absolutely is. There's stats out there to prove it. All right. People aren't going to see the movies. People aren't buying comic books. People aren't buying any of the games. These are the truths about the series. Why are we trying to put Magic with that right now? All right. Why don't we create new lore for Magic? Make something great. Let's go find it. Let's go talk to these writers. Let's go get insert favorite writer here that has created a beloved franchise recently that we can see, okay, this franchise made $1 million. All right. We'll just use $1 million as an example. Let's go get this guy that wrote this $1 million franchise. Hey, we will give you X to come in and help create a storyline for a set of Magic the Gathering cards. All right. Here are your left and right limits. Go in, write your story. Now you get to bring in his fan base, his or her fan base of people who love their series, because they're going to want to come in and try and play Magic the Gathering with their new favorite, with their favorite series. And you have something probably that's going to be pretty decent for old Magic players. And it's kind of got to follow into that same realm of fantasy. fantasy and steampunk. All right. Don't let it try and be like cyber tech, future wars kind of crap. No, this isn't Warhammer. You need to kind of follow in the rules of fantasy, and like I said, steampunk is probably where I would draw the line, because there are steampunk things in the universes of D&D. So if you do that right there, instead of trying to do Marvel, I guarantee it. I'm trying to think of series. I think The Witcher would be a great series, but he would need absolutely creative control on that one. Absolute. He'd have to pull an Oda, where when they did the live action One Piece series, Oda would not let them do anything without his approval. And I'm fine with that.
And there's other things out there too, like the whole Dark Souls.
Dark Souls would be
universe,
good too.
You know, that things that would be popular that have not had a game format other than, say, video game. You know, they've not had a card game format put out yet. Those would be good grabs for a Magic format type setup.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have their tabletop game, which has been selling fairly well.
Yeah.
Right. Which more proof that it would work as a Magic style card game.
I mean, there is a card game, but it's not Magic style.
But like I said, you could incorporate that into a Magic set. That'd be a pretty decent universe. And all I'm saying is, like, I don't want to sit here and bash on Wizards. I really don't. I want Wizards to make great content, because it's a company we all know that we've loved for a while. But you're making it very hard to love us when you keep coming in and shitting on my floor and going, "That's your fault."
If they're already getting the rights to Fallout, wouldn't it make more sense to use like Skyrim,
Oblivion,
Elder Scrolls, I should say, the whole series as a whole? Wouldn't that make more sense in a Magic setting than Fallout?
I mean, there's tons of fantasy games out there they could do that with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that there's better answers out there, but it's definitely not this one. No. All right. I appreciate everybody hanging out on this episode. This is Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. I am the titular Pirate Captain. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow us wherever you go. It's very simple. Just search Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Like I said, subscribe, drop a comment. Drop in the comments huge if you're watching this video, or maybe just tell your friends, tell your enemies. That's the real thing. Tell your enemies that you absolutely hate this podcast. You'd never want to listen to it again, and make them listen to it too. And then they realize that they actually like what you like. That's how it works. That's called reverse psychology. Beat your enemies with smartness. SMRT. I mean, SMART. With that being said, say goodbye, Bolgg.
Goodbye, Bolgg.
Say goodbye, Luke.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, Mr. Producer.
Later, guys.
Happy adventure. Yar.
You've been listening to Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything, featuring Loke the Bard. Like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Questions, comments, and mutiny requests can be sent to bolgandpc@gmail.com. And as always, happy adventures.